I am an orphan who was taken in by the Jiang family. The elders of the Jiang family told Jiang to marry me. I happily married Jiang. He didn't refuse either. But after we got married, he was neither warm nor cold toward me. Later, he simply used business as an excuse to live apart from me for a long time. My mother-in-law resents me for not producing children for the Jiang family. She gives me the cold shoulder all the time. I have spent my entire life waiting for the river ferry and tending to my mother-in-law. Exhaust. Ed both physically and mentally. I lay in my hospital bed. Jiang, my husband, didn't come to see me one last time. It was actually Tsinsiyu who kindly told me. Jiang is preparing for his wedding with her. He doesn't have time to see me. Adu said. As soon as you die, we'll have our wedding. Fong Wen. You've been Mrs. Jiang for over 30 years. But my child and I have no legal status. You should be grateful for what you have. I just found out that Jiang actually has another home out there. He has a spouse and children. I alone am all by myself. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the Jiang family's house. Jiang's mom was still teasing her. Wen, do you like our Jiang? I don't like it anymore. In this life, I want to do what I truly love. I can still seem to smell the scent of hospital disinfectant. The torment of illness still lingers. Right in front of me is Jiang's mother. In other words, my mother-in-law from my past life was still asking, Wen, do you like our Jiang? After graduation, how about marrying Adu? In the living room were the Jiang family and my parents' close friends from when they were alive. She is so kind and gentle, so tender and loving, not at all like the relentless, ruthless person I remember from my past life. Since Jiang and I are rarely together, I haven't had any chance to get pregnant. She found all sorts of ways to torment me. That incredibly bitter herbal decoction for pregnancy, I had to drink it every single day without fail. Please bring the guanine of child-giving here and have me kneel before her every day to recite sutras and pray. That's nothing. It's the constant snide remarks that make it hard to breathe. Not to mention that Mother Jiang wanted me to personally serve her tea, pour her water, and give her a massage, as long as I have any intention of resisting. She then began to wail and lament, crying out about the hardships she had endured in raising me, an orphaned girl. He said he would raise me as his own daughter. She used to hold me close and comfort me when I had nightmares as a child. They say that when I was sick as a child, she never took a break from caring for me. That's my weak spot. So I didn't put up a fight. Wen. Don't be shy, say something. Zhang's mother nudged me. He snapped back to his senses and met the woman's eyes, which were brimming with suppressed eagerness. If only I had observed more carefully in my past life. You'll find that this eagerness is all about trying to set me up with Jiang. They're in a hurry to divide up my assets. Back then, I was just a spoiled young lady who'd been pampered since childhood. I have just suffered the devastating loss of both my parents. She also believed she had found family and comfort in the Jiang household. How could I have thought of so many things? But now, after more than 30 years of a marriage that existed in name only, having endured the torment of Zhang's mother dropping her facade, everything is now crystal clear. So I stood up and smiled. Auntie, I think you've misunderstood. I only think of Jiang as an older brother. And after I graduate from high school, I'm going to take the college entrance exam. Zhang's mother's face suddenly turned pale. Today, in front of everyone, he asked me if I liked Jiang. It was all meant to get me to commit to the marriage with Jiang. That way, by encouraging me to use the assets in my name, we can avoid drawing criticism. Zhang's mother quickly realized what was happening. He stood up naturally, put his arm around me, and said to everyone, that girl's just shy. Adu. Take Wen for a walk in the garden. Jiang was sitting on the sofa across from me. Jiang as a teenager, young, handsome, and a bit aloof. Because Zhang's father is a close friend of my parents, Jiang and I could barely be called childhood friends. Ever since I was little, I've loved hanging around him and having him play with me. When we were kids, we got along pretty well. As I grew up, Jiang became a bit distant from me. In my previous life, I didn't understand. I just thought it was because I was getting older and needed to be careful about matters of the heart. But I didn't want to admit to myself that Jiangdu was actually fed up with me. I'm a bit of a snobby young lady. And I have a bad temper. But he has to obey his parents' orders and do whatever I say. I don't like it. But I can't seem to get rid of it. Jiangdu was naturally annoyed. If he ignores me, that's fine. But, of all people, he ended up marrying me. He married me, yet let my mother torment me. He married me, yet he's still getting all lovey-dovey with Sensiu on the side. I hate him. I hate myself even more, blinded by emotion. He ended up living such a miserable life. I clenched my fist, then slowly opened it. She gently broke free from Mrs. Zhang's embrace. I was still all smiles. No. Thanks, big brother. You're going to meet Sensiu in a little while, aren't you? If you like it. Bring it home sooner rather than later, one of the guests said. So Jiangdu actually has someone he likes. Then why is your mom still trying to set people up? It wasn't until that moment that I really looked at Jiangdu. He looked even worse than Zhang's mother. The outer corners of her eyes were slightly red. I didn't feel like watching anymore. So I said hello to everyone there and left on my own. Leave the living room. I went straight to the mailbox in the front yard and rummaged through it. Among all the letters, I finally found the one addressed to me. Fong Wen. Jiangdu's voice came from behind him. I quickly turned around and hid the letter behind my back. What are you sulking about today? I furrowed my brow. What's wrong? You confessed your feelings to me just yesterday. And now you're saying you think of me as an older brother. Can you try to change this habit of acting on a whim? My mom treats you like her own daughter, but you embarrassed her in front of everyone. I watched him in silence, thinking back on my past life. After we got married, Zhang's mother also made me look bad in front of others. All I did was vent to Jiangdu, and that was enough to make him hold a grudge against me. He said, "Hasn't my mom been good enough to you? You can't even handle a few words." So now I'm returning those words to him. My aunt treats me like her own daughter, yet she can't handle it when her daughter speaks her mind. He said nothing. He sighed. You're acting really strange. In his eyes, I was obviously acting strangely. After all, in my past life, after my parents passed away, I truly consider the Jiang family my home. He completely changed his former arrogant disposition. Not only did he never dare to say a harsh word to Jiangmu, but even when dealing with Jiangdu, he was careful to curry favor with him. I scoffed. So, what are you mad about now? Don't you hate it when I chase after you? Well, I'll tell you I don't like you just as you wanted. After saying that, he tried to leave. I still need to open the letter I'm holding. Jiangdu then said, I didn't. That doesn't matter. None of that matters. Jiangdu, whether you love me or not, it doesn't matter. Upon hearing this, Jiangdu furrowed his brow. Even if I try to be nice, Fong Wen, you're still just as hard to get along with. With my parents gone, I have no one to rely on. So, Jiangdu's attitude toward me has changed significantly. They used to be afraid to speak up, but now they tell me to my face that I'm hard to get along with. Am I hard to get along with? It just didn't go the way he had planned. What he calls speaking kindly. He was just trying to keep me calm for the time being. It would be best to talk me into getting engaged to him. In his past life, immediately after their engagement, he used the need for funds to expand the company's business as an excuse. Let me use most of my assets to pave the way for him. At this point, the private sector was opened up. Opportunities to make money are everywhere. With my help, Jiangdu took over the real estate and grocery businesses in the entire Weiqing district, becoming the wealthiest person in the area. In a marriage of more than 30 years in which she lived as a widow while her husband was still alive, everyone envies me for being the wife of the richest man. Little did he know that without me, Fong Wen, Jiangdu would never have had a chance to reach such heights. In this life, let me stand on high ground. Let's look down on the Jiang family's band of clowns as they prance about in their wild revelry. Let them bring about their own downfall. Too lazy to say much, I just smiled. I'm hard to get along with, so what? If you don't like it, just deal with it. I went back to my room and couldn't wait to open the letter. Actually, I have another uncle. He and my mother are half-siblings. They share the same father but different mothers, and they now live in the U.S. I've met this uncle once, back then. He came to my house seeking help to treat his elderly mother's illness. My parents have been very supportive financially, and they also recommended a good hospital. After that, our two families kept in touch from time to time. We haven't been in touch for the past few years. I didn't know this in my past life, but my uncle actually went abroad to seek his fortune and happened to strike it rich. It wasn't until a year later that he learned of my parents' death in a car accident. I heard that I had been adopted by the Jiang family. Just write me a letter. The letter was sent to the original address and then forwarded to the Jiang family's mailbox. Jiang's mother had always known about my letters, but she chose to ignore them and say nothing. It wasn't until many years later that I found out my uncle had been sending me money and letters all along. But by then, it was too late. Finished reading the letter. Only then did I realize that, for certain reasons, my uncle couldn't return to China. So I decided to write a letter. The letter said that this was the 10th one he had written, and its content was no different from the previous ones. It was just a way for him to tell me about his life abroad and then comfort me. He asked me if I wanted to go to the U.S. Back then, the land of the free was very advanced. It offered the best education and programs available at the time. The letter contained 10 large denomination U.S. bills and a plane ticket to the U.S. My nose feels a little stuffy. It's so nice that I'm not an orphan. I still have family. The boarding location is in the neighboring city of Shanghai, and the departure date is 4 days from now. I pulled myself together. Next, we need to settle the estate left by our parents. Real estate values remain stable, and these locations are promising, with potential for future appreciation. I want to keep my money in separate accounts. Take half with you when you travel abroad, and leave half in the bank. Also, I don't really know my uncle, so I can only visit my uncle's family once I'm sure it's safe. Thankfully, the college entrance exams are over. I went out under the pretext of meeting up with a classmate. It also makes it easier to handle things. I ran into some classmates at the bank, and they said excitedly, "We were just looking for you. Come on. Let's have a class reunion." We chose the city's largest KTV as the venue for the gathering. These days, karaoke is still very trendy. Jiangdu was there when I went. Someone joked, "What's up? Isn't Fongwen with you today?" "Yeah. Where's your little wife?" Jiangdu fiddled with his lighter. "She's such a pain in the neck. I'm glad to have some peace and quiet now that she's gone. Also, I don't like Fongwen." The crowd's laughter rose and fell. "So who do you like, the class beauty?" People were making a commotion. Pushed Sinsiu toward Jiangdu. The woman next to me felt a little awkward and cleared her throat twice. As the colored lights flickered, everyone finally noticed me. I walked right up to the group. What a lively crowd. "You guys go ahead." Jiangdu instinctively shielded Sinsiu. "Fongwen, what are you up to now? Pulling a fast one? I could just kill those two right then and there. But none of that has happened yet. If I were to say that these two people caused me a world of trouble in my past life, who would believe me?" I laughed. "Jiangdu, if you hate me, why didn't you just say so sooner? You're such a wimp." He simply clapped his hands and said, "Fine. If you don't want me here, I'll just leave." No one had time to react. I've already walked out the door. Jiangdu followed closely behind. "Fongwen, listen to me." "Oh no." Sinsiu fainted. I heard a classmate gasp behind me. Jiangdu hurriedly left me behind. "Fongwen, what I said earlier was just me speaking in the heat of the moment. I'll explain it to you later." Before he had even finished speaking, he was already rushing over to see Sinsiu. I stared at him coldly, then turned and walked away resolutely. There won't be another chance to explain. In 3 days, I'll be heading to the U.S. From now on, I will never think of you, and you must not think of me. The next day, I tidied up my room. Throw away what needs to be thrown away. Jiang's mother came over and asked me, in a roundabout way, which college I was applying to. Of course, I wouldn't tell her about my plans to study abroad. I just threw out the name Shuqing University to brush it off, while praising Shanghai City University. Jiang's mother rolled her eyes and brought up Jiangdu's marriage again. You can get engaged first, it won't interfere with you and Adu going to college. I hadn't said no yet. Ms. Jiang changed the subject and comforted me. I've already asked Adu. He and that Sinsiyu are just regular classmates, just overthinking things. Still won't give up. Huh. I put some distance between myself and Jiang's mother. Auntie, I really don't have any feelings for Jiangdu. Jiang's mother still didn't believe him. So she hurriedly assured him, good boy. I'll make sure I do and that girl break up for good. Jiangdu happened to overhear exactly what was said. He didn't quite understand what was going on and took a few steps toward me. The look in his eyes was full of disappointment and disgust. Young miss, do you really need everyone to revolve around you? Sinsiyu is frail, and her family isn't well off. So I looked out for her a little more. Did you really have to make a big deal out of it and tell my mom? As if to vent his frustration, he yanked the crystal necklace from his hand. Crystal beads clattered to the ground. Gurgle. Gurglite rolled away until it was out of sight. I was going to apologize to you, but now it seems there's no need. Let me make this perfectly clear. There's nothing going on between me and Sinsiyu. I'm not going to distance myself from her because of you either. After Jiangdu took his anger out on me, he kicked aside the trash can by the door that I used to throw away trash. The trash can fell to the ground with a clatter, spilling out a jumble of odds and ends. All sorts of stuffed animals and little trinkets started tumbling out one by one. Jiangdu's eyes suddenly welled up with tears. I gave you all of these. Well, if I don't like it anymore, I'll just throw it away. As I spoke, I kicked away the crystal bead rolling at my feet. Something that's in the way. In 2 days, I'll be boarding my flight to the U.S. The distance from Weicheng to Huqing is quite long. I have to head to Shanghai early. I had already obtained my passport before traveling abroad. I don't have much either. Valuable jewelry, property deeds, and other items are all kept in a bank safe deposit box. It just so happened that Zhang's parents were in another city on business. I won't say goodbye to them in person. They really have taken care of me for many years. But it was all just for the sake of that inheritance. Zhang's mother kept the money her uncle had sent for herself. That should be enough to cover my living expenses for the next few years. As I was heading out with my small suitcase, I ran into Jiangdu and Sinsiyu in the reception room downstairs. The two of them looked as if they had just come back from outside. The small leather suitcase in his hand caught Jiangdu's attention. He asked, "Where are you going? Are you going to tattle on me to my mom again?" "I'm not interested," I said, motioning for the two of them to get out of my way. "I'm going over to a classmate's house to hang out. Auntie and the others all know." I didn't lie about that either. I did tell Zhang's mother that I was going to spend 2 days at a classmate's house. Jiangdu was still feeling a bit sul. KY and said indifferently, "Come back on your own when the time comes. I'm not going to pick you up." "It doesn't matter." Ignored by everyone, Sinsiyu suddenly leaned in, her voice sounding pitiful. "Fong Wen. I was just kicked out of my parents' house and had nowhere to go. Jiangdu was kind enough to take me in. I heard from Aunt Jiang that you had a falling out with Jiangdu because of me." "I'm sorry." "You don't have to apologize to her." Jiangdu grabbed Sinsiyu's wrist. "If she hadn't gone and blabbed, my mom wouldn't have gone to bother you. It really is a case of mutual attraction." I found it boring, so I just kept walking on my own. Behind him, Sinsiyu's soft, pitiful voice continued, "Jiangdu, why don't you go and cheer up Fong? Don't worry about her. She has nowhere else to go. She'll be back sooner or later." Jiangdu spoke with conviction, with coldness and disdain. I paused for a moment, then quickly continued on my way. It turns out that the reason that family treated me so badly was simply because they thought I had nowhere else to go. "It's okay. If we ever meet again, I'll make sure you know what it's like to have nowhere to go. The first day Fongwen left, Jiangdu didn't think anything of it. The next day, he asked the household staff, sounding irritable, "Has the young lady not returned yet?" The employer shook his head. The handsome teenager furrowed his brows deeply. What a spoiled brat. If you like being out there, don't ever come back. After delivering his menacing threat, he pressed further for information about the person he was looking for. Did the young lady say which classmate's house she was going to? Hire him or shake your head. Jiangdu felt even more annoyed. It feels like a rock is weighing me down. It left him gasping for breath. I walked past Fongwen's room. By the potted broadleaved plants near the door, something seemed to be glimmering. What was he thinking? He bent down to pick it up. It was a single, solitary crystal bead. Jiangdu was a little dazed. Then I crouched down, and on a whim, decided to look around some more to see if there were any other beads. A twinge of regret welled up in my heart. How did I end up breaking the necklace? This was clearly the graduation gift he had intended to give to Fongwen. Sparkling jewelry is Fongwen's favorite. He's always known that. Fongwen used to have a bad temper, but she's calmed down a lot since both her parents passed away. He knows that. 2. Why do you have to go and upset her? He thought that when Fongwen came back, he'd just apologize sincerely, but he waited a day, 2 days, 3 days, and Fongwen still hadn't come home. The uneasiness in my heart reached its peak. He began calling the classmates who were close to Fongwen. All the responses indicated that they had never seen Fongwen. He didn't believe it. Go from one place to the next. There was still no sign of Fongwen, until he opened the door to Fongwen's bedroom. In the room, which had once been so warmly decorated, the stuffed animals he had given her were nowhere to be seen. Fongwen has neither clothes nor shoes. The room suddenly felt much emptier. Jiangdu hurriedly searched the room, trying to find any traces of Fongwen's past life there, but he found only a single sheet of letter paper tucked under a book on the desk. I'm leaving. Uncle and Auntie, don't worry about me. Just 9 characters. Yet not even a single punctuation mark belongs to Jiangdu. After the plane landed, I didn't call the number my uncle gave me right away. Instead, he hired a private investigator to look into the situation at his uncle's house. There's no need to go into that much detail. It's just a matter of getting a general idea of whether the family gets along well. And so on. I don't think there's a single family that isn't already in a state of chaos, willing to take in a distant relative. It's okay. From what I've heard, my uncle owns a fairly large farm in a certain state. My uncle is well regarded in the community, and his family is small but close-knit. I'm prepared for the worst. If my uncle can't be relied on, I can study in the U.S. on my own. 2. It's no big deal. After finishing my investigation and buying gifts for everyone, I finally got in touch with my uncle. As soon as he found out I had arrived, he rushed over to pick me up. 3 days later, I finally arrived at my uncle's farm. My uncle is more than 10 years older than my mom, because of his early days as a gold prospector. Combined with exposure to the elements, he looks even older. He isn't very talkative, especially when looking at me. She just exclaimed, "You really look just like your mother." Then he gave me a card and told me to spend as much as I wanted. Take me to ride the horses on the farm, and let me tease his big dog. Big dog. What did I ever do to deserve this? My aunt, on the other hand, is a slightly plump white woman. She's good at making desserts. Just between us, desserts are delicious, but they can get really cloying if you eat too many. But she was too enthusiastic. Make me some treats in all kinds of different ways. My uncle's son is also married. His wife is a Chinese American. Thanks to my brother and sister-in-law, I can still enjoy some Chinese food. My uncle's daughter is only 1 year older than me. When my older sister saw my conservative outfit, she shook her head dramatically. Oh my gosh, please don't let ugly clothes ruin your perfect figure. Then take me into town for a shopping spree. With her there, I quickly fit in with the local young people. After summer vacation, it's time to go to college. thanks to my uncle's connections. I went straight to my sister's university. I majored in finance. It's simply a combination of my past experiences and my current wealth and resources. That's enough for me to build a career. Life in the land of the free. It was more heartwarming than I expected. During the vacation, I had a blast playing around on the farm and helping out with odd jobs. At school, I attend classes and do homework alongside classmates from all over the world. During my sophomore year, after conducting thorough research, I've decided to start with some import-export business to get some practice. I had a talk with my uncle. He didn't actually dispute my decision. Instead, he asked me if I had enough money and whether I wanted him to introduce me to a few business owners. It's definitely better to have someone guide you that way. You'll avoid taking detours. But for a beginner like me, it's okay to take a few detours. I'm still young, so I have time and money, and I can afford to make mistakes. So, I teamed up with 3 other classmates to invest in starting a small company, export clothing and food from the U.S. to neighboring countries. A year later, my junior year, the company made a small profit, but the classmates each had their own agendas. Some wanted to make money and strike out on their own. There are also those who, believing the company's profits are unstable, have fled. And with that, the company was dissolved. Running a company has given me a lot of experience when it comes to importing and exporting products. If I'm the manufacturer, I'll make more money. I'm making plans and conducting research again, with the intention of starting another company before I graduate. In my spare time, I used the money I earned to buy my uncle a car. I bought an apartment near the school and moved in with my sister. In my apartment, I've taken in a lot of stray cats, whether disabled or able-bodied. I'll take them all. When the sunlight streams onto the balcony, these fluffy creatures curl up into a ball, curl up at my feet and sleep. I touch this and that, and before I know it, I find myself reminiscing about my past life. I really love cats, and after a lot of persuasion, I finally got Jiangdu to buy me a little Siamese kitten. I just brought him home. Zhang's parents couldn't stand it. It is said that cats can affect pregnant women. You can't even get pregnant to begin with. So why are you raising this thing? What a bummer. Little Siam didn't know what he had done wrong. She curled up in my arms, looking all hurt. I had no choice but to entrust it to a classmate who also loves cats, provide financial and material support, and visit them regularly. With that in mind, I picked up a big, long-haired orange cat. It seems like it's been a long time since I've thought about my past life or Jiangdu's family. After all, I'm pretty happy right now. There's no need to dwell on the bad stuff. The second semester of my junior year, my new company has been established. Running a dairy business, from raising dairy cows to processing dairy products. I will work step by step to improve the industrial chain. Finally, in the year I graduated, the entire production chain was fully established. That way, I can significantly reduce costs, whether it's business in the U.S. or export business. I have the confidence to negotiate prices with the other party. Once everything has settled down, I just suggested going back to China for a visit. Of course, my uncle didn't stop him. My older sister is coming back to China with me. As soon as I landed, my blonde-haired, blue-eyed business partner, Anderson, came to greet me with a bouquet of roses. He's the classic handsome white guy. He speaks Chinese very well, too. Fong Wen, are you surprised? I was speechless. Weren't we supposed to go negotiate the land deal? You came along. Who's going to handle it now? His turquoise eyes flashed. In your eyes, I'm not nearly as important as the company, am I? Of course. Don't play the victim. My older sister stood nearby, covering her mouth and giggling. He's just as handsome as your bodyguard. Then she silently gave Anderson a thumbs up. Go for it. Encouraged, Anderson ran over confidently to help me pull my suitcase. But before he could reach the box, another tall figure stepped up beside me. He casually pulled the handle. He even gallantly held an umbrella over us. The forearm stretched out in front of me was firm and toned. I could faintly make out the outline of blue veins beneath her wheat-colored skin. The car has already been ARR. Anged, boss. Chin Chang's voice was somewhat cold, though his tone was actually quite gentle. When she looked up, the man's dark hair and dark eyes caught her eye. His face showed no expression. He just stood in front of Anderson, as if he hadn't even noticed him. Childish. I muttered to myself as I got into the car. There have been significant changes domestically. First, I'll go pay my respects at my parents' graves. When I arrived, a bouquet of withered white chrysanthemums stood before my parents' gravestone, rustling gently in the wind. I suppose some of my parents' friends from when they were alive may have visited. I moved the chrysanthemums aside and arranged my own bouquet, talking to my parents about life abroad, talking about how my uncle took care of me, my aunt's great cooking skills, desserts only, the unreliable ways my brother and sister-in-law take care of their newborn. As for me, everything's going pretty well. I have family members I can turn to and lean on. I graduated as an outstanding student, and I've met many like-minded friends while running my business. Don't worry. I take good care of myself. It's raining. Rainwater trickled into my mouth. It tasted salty. After paying their respects, the group left the cemetery. Anderson held an umbrella over his sister. Chin Chingzo walked side by side with me. I happened to pass by a man and a woman. The man was holding a bouquet of white chrysanthemums. The woman was chasing after him from behind, holding an umbrella. But her words were rather harsh. Even if you came here every day, you wouldn't run into Fongwen. I'm pregnant, why can't you just consider how I feel? A female voice that was both familiar and unfamiliar. I instinctively turned my head to look. If this man and woman aren't Jiangdu and Sinsiu, then who else could they be? When my sister, Anderson, and the others heard my name mentioned, they all looked at me. I shook my head to indicate that he shouldn't worry about it. Sinsiu kept talking. Jiangdu stopped abruptly, turned around, snatched her umbrella from her hand, and threw it away. Can you just leave me alone? You're really getting on my nerves. Sinsiu let out a scream and nearly fell over. It looked like the two of them were about to get into a huge argument right in front of my parents' graves. I quickly asked the cemetery management to handle it. As for why I didn't just show up in front of Jiangdu, because I never came back to China for him. I'm interested in the current real estate market. Come back to talk business didn't bring any bad luck with you. That's really unfortunate. While I was visiting the old house, I ran into an elder. He has been friends with my parents and the Jiang family for generations. I'll call Mrs. Jiang soon to tell her that I'm returning to China. Jiang's mother was very excited and told me to wait for her there. You little rascal. Why didn't you tell Auntie when you got back? Auntie is really worried about you. Wait for me to come pick you up. No. Thank you, ma'am. I have something else to do. Hang up the phone on purpose. Give the cell phone back to that elder. By the time Mrs. Jiang and her son arrived, our group had already left by car for a hotel in the city. I'm going to a dinner party tonight. Get in touch with a few developers in Weiqing. Let's discuss the details of our collaboration. The banquet was truly grand. Our group is used to raising a glass here in the U.S., so we're right at home here too. During the banquet, I had a very pleasant conversation with several business owners. This is partly because I do have my own views on doing business. Half of them were people who were casually acquainted with my parents. I've got it all when it comes to the network economy. The business talks went smoothly. 2. The banquet was halfway through. The entrance to the lobby, however, was rather noisy. The host, Zhang Zong, looked displeased and asked what had happened. Mr. Jiang didn't have an invitation, but he insisted on barging in. Mr. Jiang glanced at me. Of course. He knew I had once been adopted by the Jiang family. He smiled and said, the staff were careless, they forgot to send Mr. Jiang an invitation and didn't even invite him in. I gave a non-committal response. I couldn't help but find it amusing. I forgot to send the invitations. It's just that they look down on the Jiang family's wealth. Without my financial support, the Jiang family's small company would struggle to stay afloat. In fact, due to various policy changes, the company was on the verge of going out of business. Under these circumstances, who would even want to have anything to do with the Jiang family? I didn't stop Mr. Jiang from letting the person in. After all, outsiders don't know about the ins and outs of my relationship with the Jiang family. Word got out that I was ungrateful. That's not looking good. On the surface, at least, they're keeping up appearances. Jiang Du's gaze locked onto me in an instant. He was wearing a slightly worn haute couture suit. It had gotten a little wrinkled from the shoving a moment ago. Without even stopping to tidy up, he strode toward me. One. You're finally back. The eagerness in his eyes was like a lamp being lit. It made his lifeless eyes sparkle. I didn't move. A split second before Jiang Du came over. 3 people stepped in front of me. The older sister frowned. Who are you? Anderson put his hands on his hips. Another one. Chin Ching silently rolled up his sleeves and took off the watch on his wrist. Me. We're legitimate business people. One. Jiang Du's eyes suddenly filled with tears. Why? I don't plan on catching up with him. It's been a while. I've got things to do. So make yourself at home. Behind Jiang Du, his mother followed closely behind. Taking advantage of her age, she shamelessly pushed her way over. One. You're such a kid, how could you have just run off without a word back then? Where have you been all these years? She held my hand and began to wipe away her tears. I slowly pulled away from her. Auntie, you received all the letters my uncle sent. So why didn't you tell me? Besides, I left a note when I left. Everyone there is a shrewd person. Once I've said those 2 sentences, I'm sure everyone knows what happened. It was simply that my aunt on my mother's side withheld my uncle's letter, hoping to stop me from searching for my relatives. You wouldn't do something like that just because you like me so much. Rather, he's just too fond of the property in my name. No need to say it, just know it. The tears immediately dried up on John's mother's face. She gave an awkward smile. One. Don't be mad. How was I supposed to know if that was a lie? By the way, Jiang Du looked for you for a long time after you left. You two should catch up. As she spoke, she forcibly pulled Jiang Du over to my side. Jiang Du didn't say a word. He just stared at me with reddened eyes. His gaze made me feel very uncomfortable. Frowning, Chin Chin walked over and told Jiang Du to keep his distance from me. The boss doesn't like people getting too close. Anderson stood in the way on the other side. Hey, even someone as handsome as me couldn't win her over, you'd better give up on her. Jiang Du didn't look at the 2 of them. Instead, he stared at me and asked, why did you leave? Do you have any idea how long I've been looking for you? I shook my head. I don't know, and I don't want to know. Jiang Du choked up. She took a crystal necklace out of her pocket. Well, I fixed it. I went to see you that day just to make up with you. One. I'll never do anything foolish again. He spoke with such sincerity, his eyes glistening with tears. Anderson glanced at the crystal necklace and smiled. I mean, can you really give something this worthless as a gift? Jiang Du looked at me intently. I'll get you anything you want. Please, don't ignore me. When it comes to gifts, I never care about their value. Back then, the cloth dolls Jiang Du would casually give me would keep me happy for a long time. I'm happy because of the person I like. Right now, I don't even like Jiang Du. I can't even be bothered to waste my time feeling any dislike toward him. He's too weak. Setting aside the emotions that clouded my judgment in my past life, he simply isn't worthy of being my opponent. I still admire your rebellious spirit. I smiled. It's actually kind of funny how you think you're in control of me. One. I was just speaking in the heat of the moment. He hurriedly explained. I thought. Oh. Whatever. I took a glass of champagne from the waiter and said indifferently, does your wife know you're here to see me? Don't hold me up while I'm doing business. Okay. Jiang Du's lips trembled, as if he had been dealt a heavy blow. In my past life, if I'd wanted to say just one more word to him, he just said, don't hold him up at work. His job was to work tirelessly with Sinsiyu night after night. Having children, a family, what a joy. When he saw that I was about to leave, Jiang-du panicked. Don't go. Can we start over? This time, I didn't get a chance to speak. His sister first splashed wine all over his face. Have you no shame? You're married. Yet you still dare to hit on my sister. At that moment, all the color drained from Jiang-du's face. I didn't mean to keep my marriage a secret. Wen. I just want to make things right with you. Please don't be mad. What happened between me and Sinsiyu was an accident. She drugged me, which is why I made that mistake. All these years, I've remained faithful to you. Wait a minute, please don't disparage the phrase preserving one's chastity. Okay, why should I be upset? In the end, the Jiang family mother and son were escorted out by Mr. Jiang. After the banquet ended, Jiang-du was still waiting to see me. To his surprise, Sinsiyu showed up with a big baby bump and started punching and kicking him. I'm carrying the Jiang family's child. And yet you still can't stop thinking about another woman. Are you even human? Pregnant women tend to be easily irritable anyway. Not only did Jiang-du not try to calm her down, but he also found her loud outburst annoying. Tell her to go home. The two of them actually ended up fighting. Then, Sinsiyu was suddenly pushed to the ground by Jiang's mother. A crimson liquid trickled down her leg, winding its way downward. I looked away and got into the car. Jiang-du left his wife who needed to be taken to the hospital behind and set off in pursuit of my car. He kept calling my name. He's really devoted. My sister said with a look of disgust. What a jerk. I corrected her. It's not that he's deeply in love with me. He's trying to use our past relationship to win me over. So I'll step in and help the Jiang family. People like him only love themselves. The partnership talks went fairly well. I will partner with Mr. Zhang and others to invest in and operate the largest new shopping mall in Weiqing. Due to the preliminary preparations, I'm going to stay in the country for a while longer. Anderson returned home first. Before he left, he repeatedly urged me. There's an old saying in China. A good horse doesn't eat the grass it has already passed. Don't make up with that guy. Also, Chen, the bodyguard, isn't good enough either. He can't even afford your watch on his monthly salary. With muscles that big, you can tell at a glance that he's a real fighter. Chin walked over silently. Boss, I also run a martial arts school, and the monthly profit is. I shot them both a look. I'll buy it myself. Right now, all I want to do is make money. If you get in the way of me making money, I'll fire all of you. Anderson shot Chin a glare and boarded the plane. Huffing in annoyance, Chinza silently pulled his sleeve down a little. It seems as if he's trying to hide his muscles, but with his broad shoulders and narrow waist, he could hide his arms, but not his muscular chest. Childish. Jiang-du has come to see me a few times. Later, he had his hands full with his own problems, so he gave up. After Sinsiyu had a miscarriage, her relatives from her hometown all came rushing over. I came all the way to the Acropolis to demand an explanation from Jiang-du. Zhang's company's profits were already dismal. After Sinsiyu's relative meddled in the matter, the company was immediately declared bankrupt. They also hired a very good lawyer to represent Sinsiyu in her divorce case against Jiang-du. Sinsiyu received most of the Jiang family's remaining assets. Zhang's father hanged himself at his company's former site after going bankrupt. Ji's mother, on the other hand, had been so traumatized that she acted like a madwoman all day long. Every day, he talks to thin air, lecturing his non-existent daughter-in-law all by himself. If you don't take your medicine, how are you going to give me a son? If you don't kneel before the Bodhisattva, how are you going to give Adu a son? Later, Zhang's mother ran out onto the street and threw a tantrum, rolling around on the ground, struck by passing vehicles, just lying there, bedridden. Jiang-du asked Sinsiyu for some money to pay for his mother's medical treatment. Most of Sinsiyu's money ended up in her relatives' pockets, so she couldn't get any of it back. Besides, Sinsiyu harbors a grudge against the Jiang family, so even if she had the money, she wouldn't help them. As they were talking, they started arguing again. This time, Jiangdu blamed all his misfortunes on Sinsiyu. During the fight, a knife was drawn. This directly caused Sinsiyu's death. Jiangdu was soon arrested. As for me, I was kind enough to visit Zhang's mother at the hospital. While I'm at it, I'll pay her medical bills. Everyone says I'm loyal and true. Little did I know that the caregiver I hired for her was the worst one there was. She soon developed bed sores all over her body. He reeked from head to toe. Standing beside her, I smiled as I watched her. Auntie, you have memories from your past life now, don't you? When you were tormenting me, did you ever think that one day you'd end up in my hands? Even though he knows full well that Jiangdu is seeing someone else, he still blames me for being unable to have children. While I was taking my medicine and being forced to kneel as punishment, you were enjoying family time with Sinsiyu's child. You should taste my pain. 2. Zhang's mother glared with wide eyes and waved her hands, but he couldn't even touch my sleeve. All I could do was stand there with my mouth open, drooling. His eyes were filled with resentment. I won't let her die. And so, I just keep on living, barely scraping by. Before Jiangdu was executed, he asked to see me. I agreed. Facing me, he wept and confessed his sins. It was said that many memories that weren't his own had flooded his mind. He realized that his indifference toward me in his past life had left me to live a lonely and miserable life. Can you forgive me? I love you. That's why I refuse to face my true feelings. It's because I want to break free from my parents' control. I've always done what they say. But when they told me to love you, I lost my head and wanted to do the opposite. How childish. I've lost everything now. He was sobbing. I shook my head. To my surprise, he smiled. Fine. Hate me if you want. My life has been so miserable, I guess I'll just have to accept it as my comeuppance. This time, it was my turn to burst out laughing. Karma. How could karma work out so coincidentally? In the glass window, my slightly excited eyes and brows were reflected. Do you think your company's sharp decline is entirely due to external factors? Do you really think Sinsiyu would be able to find the location of the banquet by such a coincidence? You think she'd have a miscarriage that easily? Can those relatives in the village really find her a top-notch legal team? Jiangdu's face grew paler and paler, until there wasn't a trace of color left. However, his eyes were bloodshot. Do you hate me that much? Why shouldn't I hate him? In my past life, I never did anything that went against heaven and earth. As a result, life was neither here nor there. It's precisely because the Jiang family has their eyes on my property. It ruined my life. In this life, I've only meddled just a little bit. That's already very generous. Those choices were, after all, the Jiang family's own decisions. I stood up. And the last thing I said to Jiangdu was, I'll tell your mother about your execution. He walked out of prison and got into a private car. A black sedan weaves its way through the curtain of rain. The newly designated commercial district is already beginning to take shape, with skyscrapers dotting the skyline. My future is just around the corner.